Come one, come all, step right up and see the carnage at the carnival. Please don't tell me you only bought the hat for that one sentence.
Maybe I did. You know what? Here you go. Make sure you get your money's worth, cheapskate. But just so you know, it's incredibly itchy.
Oh God, he's right. Today, we are looking at another Final Girl game, and this one takes place at a circus. In honor of that, look what I got. I frankly don't want to try these at all, so I'll make the guy in the stupid hat do it. Oh, this is the worst day ever. Oh, God. Okay, I have truly never had these before, so this is going to be a first time. I'm going to give you my honest first impressions. If I like this, I'll tell you that. I'll be honest with you. I will say, before I bite into this, that when I bought these, first of all, I had to go to 3 different stores because no one sells these anymore, I guess. And when I bought them, the person who cashed me out squeezed the bag and like felt the candy and was like, "Are you sure you want these?" And I said, "Yes, I am sure." So here we go. Circus peanuts. Oh. It's worse than I pictured, honestly. Oh no. Oh. What the heck are those flavors? Oh. This is not a bit. I'm not kidding. I was expecting that to be just like a marshmallow. That's so bad. I was expecting it to just taste like a marshmallow, but it doesn't. It tastes, I swear, this is exactly what it tastes like. And I don't know if all circus peanuts taste like this, but I'm going to assume that they all do because this is the first one I've ever had. It tastes like bubblegum and campfire smell. Not kidding. That's the flavor, is a mixture of bubblegum and how your clothes smell after you were near a campfire. That is awful. Anyway, let's look at the lore for this Final Girl game. What better place to hide screams of terror than amongst screams of glee? No one knows exactly when Geppetto's carnival began, but one thing's for sure. It's been around a long time. The ringmaster is tall and spindly, his head cocked to one side at an unsettling angle. Now, he may look scary, but don't worry. He's a loving father. His children are puppets, moving only when he directs them to. And he likes it that way. Real children are too willful for his taste. Geppetto is a masterful conductor, and the carnival is his orchestra. The clown car's horn, the tiger's roar, the gentle pluck, pluck, plucking of marionette strings, these are all sounds in his symphony of horrors. Let me just check in. I'm worried that you're confused. When you picture Geppetto's puppets, his children, are you picturing them made out of wood? Well, that's a part of the story, and yes, that's a part of the children, but that's not all. No. Geppetto has an eye for beauty. When he sees the right child cross his path, he wants them to be a part of his family. He just may need to make a few modifications first. Yeah, this Final Girl box has a serious blend of whimsy and pure terror. I mean, there's clown cars and houses of mirrors right up against wood and flesh puppet children. I love it. It's fun scary, it's scary scary, it's got it all. All right, before we talk about the location, just give me a second over here, please. The hat is very, very itchy, and so I love doing these shots. So please, just a moment. Okay, I'm ready. I can go back. I've never been to a carnival. You know, I've been to like fairs and stuff, but never anything branded a carnival. And I get the sense that this is all pretty carnival accurate. These are things that show up at carnivals all over the place. And that tells me, hey, maybe I don't want to go to a carnival. I mean, there's clowns. No one likes clowns. There's tigers. I feel like they're hungry, and you can see how tasty I look. So that's not a good combination there. And there's even a haunted forest that you can walk through. I mean, they're telling you up front that it's haunted. That's never good. But it does make for a very good Final Girl location. I mean, sure, there are a lot of events and cards that you can come up with for a spooky summer camp, but double it for a spooky carnival. Animals get loose? Check. A crazy clown group kills a bunch of victims? Check. The world's hairiest man turns into a freaking werewolf? Check. Pretty much every time I flipped over a card in this game, I was surprised, but surprised in a way that still fits. Even that kind of crazy example, I mean, now we're dealing with a werewolf in the middle of this ringmaster's homicidal spree. It works. If I have a complaint about some of the other boxes, it's that sometimes events have felt shoehorned in. Like maybe some elements were added last minute to kind of fill out the scenario. Here, every idea comes naturally and really adds to the haunted carnival ambiance. Plus, and this is not something that I expect from my games by any means, but I forgot to put on music while I was playing this game. And yet, when I would picture myself in the various scrapes that the final girl gets into, you know, creeping through the house of mirrors or walking past the clown car, I could hear the kind of like tinny, creepy circus music coming from the loudspeakers. It's so thematic that it puts you there. It evokes that ambiance so well. In addition to thematic events and areas on the board, the carnival throws another problem at you: traps. When you explore this location or go searching for items, you never know what you're going to find. Maybe when you're looking for something to defend yourself with, instead you find a hidden cobra that bites you. Or perhaps when you're walking through a location, you stumble upon a camouflaged trap and fall into a pit and get tangled in trapeze ropes. All this makes you wary going around every corner, and it's awesome. But not quite as awesome for the victims. There were quite a few moments when I was guiding victims to an exit, to certain safety, and we would all fall together into an acid trap or something. The final girl usually takes a little bit of damage or discards a card in that situation. The victims just die, which I guess is better than suffering, but they sure do die. Speaking of dead victims, let's talk about the fellow responsible, Geppetto. Oh man. He's threatening. He's one of these killers whose printed killer action doesn't involve him moving at all. Sure, if a victim or the final girl is in his space, he'll attack, but mostly it's actually kind of easy to avoid taking damage from his killer action. Where he gets you is with his children and with terror cards. His little puppet minions spread out all over the board tracking down victims, but they don't attack just yet. Not without Father's orders. The terror cards in this scenario are brutal. I feel like with some of the other Final Girl boxes, I've found that the terror cards range from brutal to just kind of slight inconveniences, but I don't think I flipped a single card from this box and went, woo, dodged a bullet there. Because Geppetto doesn't attack on his own, and his puppets don't move on their own, the terror cards are there to do both. So many cards give the baddies both a move and an attack action, and there are 3 puppets and 1 Geppetto, so yeah, some turns, 4 victims die at once. One very interesting thing to note is that even though Geppetto's puppets are his way of spreading out all over the board, they can't actually be all that far away from their father. That's because they're connected to him via strings. This means that they can never be more than 2 spaces away from their master. This leads to some fantastic strategic maneuvering. You always know the maximum range of the puppets. You know where they can go and where they can't go, so you can plan your turns accordingly. Just be sure to be careful of the terror cards, because they're gonna shake up your plans. The final thing that I should mention is the whole minion idea in general. This is the first Final Girl game I've talked about where the killer isn't the only mini on the board that means you harm. Well, I think these minions do exactly what they're meant to do. They're deadly to the victims, but they're not much more than a nuisance to you. Of course, that's only true until all the victims are dead. Before that point, I felt very discouraged to attack the minions. I mean, you only have so many cards that attack, and so wasting it on a minion just didn't seem worth it. But if all the puppets are still alive when the last victim dies, and then all 3 of the minions descend upon you and attack you, you're gonna wish you'd done things differently. I think this is a great conundrum in this game. You have to choose whether to spend resources keeping the minion problem in check, or you have to accept that you're going to need to win the game very fast when the killer's ultimate ability reveals and the minions can now target you. Why did I think it was going to get better? So bad. Before we talk about ratings and final thoughts, let's go over a few cards that I particularly enjoyed. First, a trio of items. You might stumble across found footage, which shows you tape of a past victim falling into one of the many traps around the carnival, which allows you to ignore that trap, like kind of learn from their mistakes. You may also find a bullwhip, which deals damage to your assailants and also drives them back a bit. Or, if you're very, very lucky, you may come upon Zappo, the carnival monkey. I love this little guy. He lets you search locations from up to 2 spaces away, but there's a little caveat, and that is if he runs into a trap item in the item cards, he's going to run away. And so that's why I never used him. When I got him, I just wanted him to be my little friend. I didn't want to risk him getting scared and running away. So he was just my traveling companion. Is that a good strategic move? No, but I'm not going to let a little monkey get hurt. What are you, crazy? We've also got a few tarot cards that stood out as extra devious. Because Geppetto is a master showman, it doesn't really matter how far away he is from you on the board. He can pop up in any space with all his children in tow. Also, you need to be wary of the animal cages. Those tigers are definitely hungry, and those locks don't look all that secure. And finally, turns out the strings that Geppetto controls his puppets with are pretty sharp when pulled taut. Razor sharp. I also wanted to highlight this event because it is thematic and fun. We all know that carnivals have fun house mirrors. That's a thing. But did you know that sometimes victims look a little bit like Geppetto or a puppet in one of those warped mirrors? I didn't until I stabbed one accidentally, but that's just an unlucky circus patron. I'm sure they'll forgive me for murdering them. And finally, last but not least, this super scary ultimate event, No Strings Attached. This occurs when Geppetto's puppets, they don't need to obey that 2-space movement restriction anymore. They can go wherever they want to on the board. No strings attached. That's some bad news, let me tell you. And now, my final thoughts. This Final Girl box is really the first one that I haven't had an intrinsic connection to that I still adored. I was starting to wonder whether my personal enjoyment of the themes was weighing too heavily on my ratings of the various games. I mean, I don't really love campground slasher movies, and I do love the Alien movies, and I rated those games as such. But I don't really care about haunted carnivals or the possessed doll horror subgenre, and I still dug this box. I feel like every part of it sings. If you've seen last week's playthrough of this game, just know that every game I've played of this so far has been that close. I'm not going to say exactly what happened in case you haven't seen it yet, and if you haven't seen it, what are you doing? Go watch it. But this box feels very well balanced. It's tough to ride the line between a challenging and yet winnable scenario, but I think Carnage at the Carnival does it perfectly. 9. 9 out of 10. So far, I think Frightmare on Maple Lane, Into the Void, and this box are absolutely essential inclusions in any Final Girl collection. That's all I got. It's great. Play it. Have fun. And with that, I am off. Please make sure to like the video, comment, and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. My little benions will tell you why.
I want attention. I want praise. I want validation. I want to become self-sufficient, making the things that I want to make so I can quit my jobs and have slightly more will to live.
Just jokes. Toodles. Oh my god. That's so much worse than I... Wow. Oh. No, I need to wash out my mouth.